Hey all, this is Mark Tebeau. I'm here with Professor Thomas Cauvin. Thomas is the director of the Public History Research Group and the creator of a new citizen science public history project. He'll tell us a little bit about that, perhaps. Thomas taught in the United States for about a decade before taking on his new post at the University of Luxembourg. And we happen to be in Luxembourg recording this, albeit on Zoom, down the hall from one another. So Thomas is the author of the very successful textbook, Public History, a Textbook of Practice. And as a way to just introduce us to what he's thinking about public history, I'd like to ask him about the title, A Textbook of Practice. Thomas, what does that mean to you? And by the way, I would assume this book has sold a miraculous number of copies.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you for the very nice words about the textbook. The title, it has a long and a short story. The long story is that it doesn't come from me. The author was supposed to be the author of that book, was Janelle Warren Finley, who was a good friend of mine, and she was supposed to write that book. But she became sick and unable to write the book. And she asked me if I could jump in and do my own project. And I decided to keep the title first as, to honor the memory of Janelle. And also because it makes sense. I really consider public history as a way of doing history. It doesn't mean that it's not about theory, that it doesn't have self-reflective practices. But for me, public history is about producing history. It's about doing projects. It's very much project-oriented. And I think the practice highlights the key novelty with public history, the key aspect of doing history with partners, communicating history. So it's studying the past, interpreting the past, yes, and we all do that, historians, but public history is about constructing something new, right? So, and that's something that we've discussed about with our students yesterday with Mark. They really understand that public history is about project. It goes beyond the simple fact of writing an essay. It is about caring about sources. How do we get sources? Where are sources? What are sources? Collecting sources, interpreting sources, but also communicating sources. So the practice is about this, the very broad understanding of what history means. Not only an act of interpretation, but an act of construction, right? Working with archivists, working with media producers, working with podcasters, working with YouTubers, working with local inhabitants. So the practice is something that turns out to be actually quite important in the textbook and in my conception of public history.
Fantastic, Thomas. Thank you for that. We're going to turn to some other questions here in a second, but as we'll do repeatedly, we're going to turn off the recorder and turn it on so we keep these questions short. So thank you.